Welcome, nature detectives. I'm Conrad Baker. I'm an outdoor educator with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation at Letchworth State Park, and today I have a nature mystery for you. We're enjoying the shelter of some beautiful evergreen trees today. Using some nature tools, we can figure out what kind of trees these are and how they help us every single day. We'll use two nature tools to do that, our eyes and our fingers. I'll show you what we're working with right here. Ooh, and all this wonderful snow is coming down all over us. Ooh, it's cold. So looking closely at the needles of this tree can give us our first nature clues. First nature clue, if we look really carefully at these needles, do you see how small they are, how short they are? They're way shorter than even the very end of my pinky finger. These are tiny, tiny needles. While we're in there looking close, second nature clue, if we gently turn them over, do you see how they're kind of flat? They're not rounded. Some evergreen trees have rounded needles, but these ones are really flat, almost like a surfboard. And if you look underneath, do you see how they're a lighter color on the bottom than they are on the top? They have kind of dark green on the top and lighter, kind of a grayer green on the bottom. Let's put all those nature clues together. We have a super short needle, shorter than the end of my pinky finger. It has generally a pretty flat shape, and the top is much darker than the bottom. This must be an eastern hemlock tree. And eastern hemlocks are a really important evergreen tree species in New York State. They provide this wonderful shelter that we're enjoying today that not only protects lots of animals and wildlife from the harsh winter weather, like all the snow that has fallen and is now falling down on us as we move the branches, but they also shade streams in the summertime. They protect those streams from the harsh summer sun as well. And that means that the streams can stay colder, means they can hold a little bit more oxygen because cold water can hold more oxygen than warm water. And that means that some very special kinds of fish can survive in those streams where normally they wouldn't be able to survive. I'm talking about the official New York State fish, the brook trout. Brook trout are a really important fish because not only do they eat a lot of insects that can be pests to us humans like mosquitoes, but they're also a really important game fish. People love to catch them. People tie flies and get really into this whole culture of catching trout, brook trout and their cousins, the brown trout that come from Europe. These trout species are really valuable to us humans as a pest control species and as a recreational species. They're the official New York State fish. They're super duper important. They depend on these hemlock trees that preserves their habitat and preserves that water system that they need to survive. That makes the eastern hemlock tree a keystone species. Keystone species is one that holds up a lot of other species in place in its environment, kind of like the stone in the middle of an arch that holds the whole arch together. A keystone species holds the rest of the ecosystem together. Think about a beaver, or think about a pileated woodpecker, some animals that help their environment and help other species to survive and can alter the environment in a way that makes it better and easier for other species to survive. Unfortunately, eastern hemlock trees have a pest from Asia that is really starting to become a problem in New York State. This is a tiny little insect called the hemlock woolly adelgid. It's a funny name for a funny creature. They look kind of like little white fuzz on the underside of the needles. You have to look really closely to see this stuff. Sometimes it'll appear kind of like little cottony woolly stuff, or on a day like today, it looks like the snow would be sticking on the underside of the needles. The hemlock woolly adelgid drinks the sap of hemlock trees, weakens the tree, and over a period of years can kill the tree. So it's really important that we figure out where the adelgid is and we take corrective action to try to slow down its spread in New York. If you really want to put your nature detective skills to the test, try to find some eastern hemlock trees in your neighborhood. Of course, here in Letchworth State Park, they love to grow here because they love steep ravines near water with lots of shade. So if you find a place with really steep terrain, maybe even a ravine around you with a stream or a little creek running through, you can keep your eye out for these hemlock trees. And then you can look closely at the undersides of the needles, if you can get close to them and grab them like I have, and look closely on the underside for some little woolly stuff underneath. If you find some woolly stuff, you can let scientists know with the Western New York Prism, or Finger Lakes Prism, or the branch of Prism that is close to where you live. You can go to wnyprism.org if you'd like to fill out a invasive species worksheet to document exactly where you found some hemlock woolly adelgid. The scientists around New York State will thank you. And thank you so much for joining me for today's Nature Mystery. If you have any questions about eastern hemlock trees or hemlock woolly adelgid, please put some comments in the comment section below the video. Share this video with your friends to put their nature detective skills to the test. And as always, like Letchworth State Park's Facebook page to stay tuned for more nature mysteries.